Very good morning. I already the topic I will be discussing with you has been told you by the chairman, Dr. Veer Badraya, and he's a few among those who really, for the last maybe 40 years, 50 years, they have been serving this discipline. We have got co-chairman, Dr. Prabhu Kumar. We have got a very distinguished, professional in the subject. DDG himself is here. Dr. Eswarappa, the organizer of this, and Vice-chancellor, ADGs, directors of, Atari, other delegates, students. This topic from yesterday, we have been talking secondary agriculture. Secondary agriculture, basically not secondary. Often we consider secondary means not primary, so this is not much important. We are in a, before I go to the, I go to the slide. Slide, please. Next. Have a look at that. Approximately 7,023 years back, carbon dating 14 indicates that the agriculture was started. We can say that kind of, modern agriculture, the terminology was not used, but agriculture started in a village called Jarmo. This village was in the, often it is called the cradle of civilization. It is one side Mesopotamian civilization, Sumerian civilization, and Nile Delta civilization. The villages were, this village was very small, 50 families, 150 people. Think it over, agriculture was initiated for them with 8 crops. So that's the kind of beginning of agriculture in the world. Now, over a period of 7,000 years, the agriculture is to serve now 2.3 billion households and 8.2 billion people. Think it over, what kind of leapfrogging growth agriculture has it taken place. And today, agriculture is a, worldwide is a business of $12.25 trillion and increasing globally by 1 trillion every month. So that's the kind of volume of agriculture for which we are, assembled here to discuss some of the important issues. And you think it over, the figure of 12 trillion and 13 trillion, as at present, the world's GDP is approximately 80 trillion. So all said and done, agriculture has got a very significant contribution globally. But why we are talking so much of intensive, what is called secondary agriculture? The kind of horizontal spread that has been almost choked out. I'm just giving you few figures. Globally, as far as the world is concerned, the all bioresources, so much is used that we need, as of now, 1.7 world to feed the present population of the world. As far as the India is concerned, we need 1.5 India to sustain the present level of exploitation of these resources. I am talking based on the calculation of ecological footprint. All that I am trying to say that expansion horizontally, whatever we talk about intensification and all that, we have crossed the limit in April 2022. Till that time, India was balancing between the biocapacity and ecological footprint. Over a period of 1 year, we have crossed 50% of India more kind of resources. If we have a look at water, then in India share only 4% of world water. But the thing is that this water includes the blue water, green water, and gray water. Now, as far as the gray water is concerned, you think it over. We are about our efficiency, you see, 1 kg of rice, we eat 3,333 kg of water. We produce the cotton, and we have got a great sense of pride for exporting the cotton. From the beginning of pre-independence time, it is 10,000 to 20,000 liters of water to produce 1 kg of cotton. Just think it over. This is the kind of status of water, print. So all that I am trying to say that whatever we say, but in totality, horizontal expansion we have choked. The only thing is that so-called slogan, sky is the limit. So whatever secondary agriculture we can adopt, probably we will be able to save agriculture. So just a few slides, next slide please. And have a look, the figure I have already spoken, we are 2.4% of world area, but 18% of world population, 4% of water, and we are producing 10.94% of total cereal, 1/5% of rice. Think it over. Rice, I told you what kind of hungry of water, a kind of hungry crops. If you have a look at Africa, to begin with, they have got rid of the cultivation of paddy as semi-aquatic plant. Nowhere you will find that in undulate, paddy is cultivated as we are doing, particularly Asian rice or African rice, or as glaberrima, that is all cultivated on dry land. And think it over, that we are 15.7% of milk we produce. Our GDP in second quarter of 2022 is the 5,000 crore INR. Facts remain that 150 million people are engaged directly in agriculture. This is my figure of 2021. Next slide, please. If we have a look at the Indian agriculture, we had a pre-green revolution. We can say that it's a deficit in food production. We were the student those days, second year student, third year student of agriculture. We didn't have any food in the hostel. We have a green revolution period, self-sufficiency of food grain, and in livestock sector, Operation Flood. There was a kind of momentum that India as a country, it threw the begging bowl, PL 480, and it started producing its own. Post-Green Revolution, we started talking about diversification, expansion of technology to horticulture, to, all other kinds of areas we started. Then we had the economic reforms period. We had surplus. With my experience of visiting 21 countries, I have not seen a single country which has such a large buffer stock. Many, many countries of the world, they don't produce that much. And peak our buffer stock goes to something 71 million tons. I mean, it's a magical figure by any standard of the country. We now require one nation, one market. I will ultimately coming to the slide to that proposition. Next slide, please. These secondary, some of the things have been spoken here and there. All that I am trying to build up my subject. I will be basically trying to talk of strengthening of agriculture extension system. What are the areas of agricultural extension needs to be strengthened? I will just, essentially I will talk on that, but a few more here and there I am talking. The conclusion is that the number of productive jobs that an asset or activity can create is more important than the yield per se. Many of the KVK scientists, yesterday I was trying to talk to them that, that age-old understanding about demonstration, highest yield. Now, question is that it is not necessarily that the demonstration should be for, that potentiality of yield. Demonstration could be for the potentiality of stability of that variety, sustainability of that variety, equitability of that variety, profitability. I mean, those are much more important concern now than getting, so-called that gap analysis in terms of present yield and potential yield. That, of course, sometime I will be speaking. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, see, lot many definitions are there. Of course, I find the most comprehensive definition what volume 9 of 14 volumes on doubling the farmer's income. Yesterday, he was there as a lead speaker, Dawali, and a wonderful work has been done in terms of 14 volume. Now, the important part is that committee has defined secondary agriculture as a kind of production activities and devised a strategy which includes sustainability of production, monetization of farmers' produce, strengthening of extension service, and recognize agriculture as an enterprise. He said yesterday, and I also say, that if we have a look at agriculture in this country, it is 130 million farm families cultivating 140 million hectares, and by something 160 million farmers. That's the kind of agriculture in our country. Next slide. See that the basic, characteristics of secondary agriculture is that it utilizes the raw material produced by the primary agriculture and deploys locally available skills or high level of rural manpower and can be categorized approximately into the three types of secondary agriculture. Next slide. Next slide. Oh. Okay, okay. Yes. The thing is that agriculture must be made profitable. I said that how many technology can be better profitable than the existing technology. It's a kind of altogether different ball game. Unlike in 1885, when demonstration was discovered for controlling the cotton bollworm in Illinois, the thing is that 2 days thrust areas for demonstration should be entirely, your profitability for 130 million farm families. It should be more resilient. Now, question is the resilient qualifying in terms of sensitivity, in terms of adaptation, in terms of mitigation. The resilience is not an ad hoc word, but the thing is that that's how we should say. And the food system should move away from calorie-based. It should be a balance of nutrition and production both, and environmental impact of agriculture must be reduced, and sustainable solution must be prioritized. Slide, please. Slide, please. See, as I told, there are three types of secondary agriculture. I have given the example. In one side, what are the secondary, type A secondary agriculture, input-centric, type A, secondary agriculture, which are harvest and post-harvest centric. Example I have given for that. And for your information, for anybody, my slide is open. Anybody who wants to to have a copy of that, you can very easily get it. Next slide. See, you have a look at the type B. Essentially, all those are classified as a kind of alternative the enterprise. And I have given not that this list has been prepared by me. This list has been prepared by that committee. So I am only presenting before you. Next slide. And then your type C. And type C, you can find that altogether, even say, urea enriched fodder block can be a type C. You will find in many places your urea molasses straw block is available for cattle feeding. Now, next slide. Secondary, see, as I said that secondary agriculture not is secondary in terms of economic activities, but it's a kind of agro-processing, food and non-food, within all enterprise classes of small, medium, large-scale industry, where farmers can be a labor, farmers can be an employee, farmers can be an employer. So that is the kind of distinct characteristics of secondary agriculture. Next slide, please. The approach of secondary agriculture is value capture. We will have to see whether from the residue or from the, your nursery raising, quality production of seedlings has been classified as also a secondary agriculture. So it is not necessarily that secondary agriculture starts after harvest. Next slide. The four concerned, not necessarily the concern for secondary agriculture, but for the agriculture as a whole. One is that sustainability of production, monetization of farmers' produce, re-strengthening of extension services, and recognized agriculture as an enterprise, enabling to operate by addressing various structural weaknesses. Now, the thing is that for that, doubling the farmers' income committee redefined the extension, and that redefinition keywords are risk and farm management practices and supply chain, and to realize a higher net income from their enterprise on a sustainable basis. I'm sure all of you kindly agree that these three key words were not there in whatever definition earlier. We often spoke about the, your definition of agricultural extension. Next slide, please. I will straight away go to the what kind of re-strengthening of extension is required, which can meet the requirement for extension for secondary agriculture. This can be classified into 4 categories: training and education services, facilitation services, advisory services. These are the 3. I'm sorry, I told 4. In total, I find in entire 14 volume, there are 17 recommendations. And all these 17 recommendations are interlinked. I am just trying to give a very, very brief of this. First one, about the training and education services, farmers need to be educated to take the advantage of the activities that were normally performed by the intermediary aggregators. Long time farmers were struggling for the middleman. This is a concept giving the opportunity that farmers can take the role also, as the producer and also as the middleman, also next level of value addition. So the farmer's role much more flexible in this. Second part is that, next slide. Have you changed? Second, oh, no. Go back, please. Second part is that, all they are required to, that do is for reference. As I said, to capture the greater value for their produce. Next slide, please. Next slide. And now, no. Yes. Farmers need to be educated for storage and advantage of availing the interim pledge loan on goods store on all that. Now the thing is that different dimension, which has been considered to be essential for this secondary storage, is one of the most important part, so that you can take the price bull by horn. Depending on your, advantage time, you can do that. And for those activities, the bank has got special facilities so that you can place your produce, for that. Now, basic elements for agribusiness, that farmers must look for right cost, bookkeeping, financial management, inflow, outflow of money. This is one of the very, very important role extension to play, which has not played. I'm sure from the beginning of extension. This is not new in the sense when the program like ICDP, Intensive Cattle Development Project, was initiated. This was one of the important, aspects. However, halfway those projects were implemented. In this process, the capacity of the extension official who then can spearhead this kind of changes. I am very sure, so are you, that the many, or for that matter, larger percentage of the extension, whether field level extension or many of the officers level extension, they need to be upgraded. The capacity building is required for the farmers and them together. And another important part is that the managerial competence of the farmer and the extension personnel, it is a product management, not produce management. So this is the kind of distinction. Next slide, please. Agriculture, secondary agriculture will come from on-farm, off-farm, non-farm activities. And as I told, even nursery, seed production, custom hiring, they also come under, secondary agriculture. And income addition is one of the most important things. It is repetition of what I have been trying to emphasize. The next slide. See, facilitation services. It is very, very important part how the farmers can be facilitated to adopt the practices of secondary agriculture. First one is that, promoting custom hiring center, skilled para-technician, facilitating maintenance support, a proactive, therefore, we need to have a proactive extension system. I don't know whether, you will be able to assess yourself that the present extension vis-a-vis the kind of extension we are thinking. Then even wherever high technology processing can also be facilitated for large farmer groups to create brands originated in village. If you happen to visit any of the villages of Haryana and Punjab, where extensively basmati rice is grown, you will find each village has got a brand name. So once you buy the basmati from a particular village, you will next time guide your vehicle that have a stop near that village, so that in village gate you will find, that will be available. Next slide, please. Yeah, short. Okay. And this is all other facilitatory services to be given. All that I am trying to say that the present level of extension service is to undergo a kind of significant changes in order to meet the requirement of secondary agriculture. Next slide. Okay. I told that, the many market, whatever existing there, how the group of farmers can be mainstream a part of that entire network of marketing. Next slide. The advisory services I have spoken. Next slide. Okay, that value chain extension is a completely different games. This is not a kind of, conventional demonstration, conventional on-farm trial. And once you want to give a kind of value chain extension, the extension personnel must have got the skill for value chain analysis of different value chain analysis and how to put them together for a total value chain once a product which will go there. And as I told, how to integrate when you talk about one market, one India, now question comes, how to integrate the market, right from weekly market, daily market to the larger, level of market. It is a completely different kind of skill. Next slide. Okay, some others. Next. Next, I have spoken more of the market mainstreaming. Next, please. This is one of the concepts I would like to bring. Often the program in extension we start, it just ends without having any, I will say, footprint in the extension system. I would say that I'm not talking about the state extension worker, but what I'm trying to say that large network of KVKs, and we have got an army of multidisciplinary person engaged in the task of extension. I'm not using in a very narrow sense, but all those activities. I have not seen one single program except Dr. Dubey, probably here, Dr. Santanu Dubey. He has worked a very innovative work jointly with IFRI, International Food Policy Research Institute. However, it could be my ignorance and my illiteracy. I have not seen any other single example to be repeated here. My point is that any kind of program we take, can we first time introduce that a program will have input, what are the process through which output and then outcome, ultimately impact. Now 3-4 analysis can be done from there. I'm sure we can, large number of extension programs, even by the KVKs, are taken up. But the question is that I have not seen a single program which ultimately analyzed in totality to say that we have developed an extension model. I mean, which can be for this country, which can be sort of acclaimed internationally. The instrument is that simply your output by input, as you know, that efficiency. But output by, outcome by output would be the effectiveness. The thing is that effectiveness is the process. Effectiveness is the measurement of the process of the extension program. Efficiency more in terms of economics. However, the cost, the viability of an extension program, say, economic viability of the KVK system. I mean, we can analyze even at that level and claim that how efficiently we are running the KVK in this country. That will be impact by input. And input, we have got total budgetary provision. And can we convert entire impact in terms of money value, and together we can analyze how a viable, how KVK network it is a kind of viable proposition. Since secondary agriculture extension, if at all, whatever we will be doing, that will be a beginning. So from the day one, if this concept we keep it in mind, probably we will be the pioneer for giving, if not many, but at least a few extension model in the country, and can be acclaimed globally that this is the extension model for secondary agriculture. Next slide. I'm through, could be only last. To conclude, the interplay of competitive market forces, secondary agriculture, your success is that how you can interplay in the competitive market forces. In, kind of highway, understanding the structure of highway, of backward and forward linkages. And that will be the art of extension for secondary agriculture. And that will bring us to the slogan, one nation, one market. Okay, next slide. Only to thank you for your tremendous patience. Some of the maybe unconventional things I have talked. Thank you very much.